She gave him everything, love, wealth, and power. But what he did in return will leave you speechless. This is the story that no one saw coming. Port Harcourt was a city of dreams, wealth, and power. Among its many stories, none shone brighter or darker than that of Nedima Okafor, known simply as Nedi. She was the epitome of wealth and elegance, her life set within the golden gates of a mansion that symbolized her success. Yet, within this palace of marble floors and crystal chandeliers, a story unfolded that would shake the foundations of affluence. Nedi's only son, Emeka, was her pride and joy, the jewel in her crown of luxury. From the moment he was born, she lavished him with everything: golden rattles, silk blankets, and a nursery adorned with real gold accents. As he grew, so did his appetite for extravagance, and Nedi spared no expense. Tutors, sports cars, and gadgets filled his life, leaving no room for discipline. The first cracks in Emeka's character showed when he was 10. He shattered the principal's office window after being scolded for tardiness. When summoned, Nedi arrived in her gleaming SUV, towering over the principal in her designer sunglasses. "My son must have had a reason," she declared, brushing off the incident. The principal's warnings of future troubles fell on deaf ears. Her unconditional defense of Emeka created a monster, entitled and untouchable. By age 15, Emeka ruled over their household with impunity. He disrespected staff, bullied classmates, and demanded whatever he pleased. Yet Nedi only saw the golden child she adored, shielding him from every consequence. But trouble was brewing, a storm ready to shatter the illusion of control. Unbeknownst to Nedi, her refusal to discipline her son was planting seeds of ruin that would one day grow into an uncontrollable beast. As Emeka entered his teenage years, his behavior grew more reckless. Fueled by his mother's unwavering protection, he treated the world as his playground. His fleet of luxury cars roared through the streets of Port Harcourt, earning him both admiration and fear. Nights at exclusive clubs and extravagant parties became routine, and his reputation as the untouchable prince spread. It wasn't long before his disregard for others escalated. One evening, Uju, the family's loyal nanny, found herself the target of Emeka's twisted humor. What began as inappropriate jokes turned physical when Emeka grabbed her in a way no boy his age should. In shock, Uju reacted instinctively, slapping him across the face. But Nedi's response was swift and cruel. When she heard Uju's side of the story, she dismissed it, choosing instead to punish the nanny. "How dare you lay your hands on my son?" she snapped, slapping Uju and firing her on the spot. The incident sent ripples through the household. Staff began leaving one by one, unwilling to endure Emeka's cruelty and Nedi's blind loyalty to him. Yet Nedi remained unmoved, believing her wealth could silence anyone who dared to oppose her family. Meanwhile, Emeka grew bolder, pushing boundaries without fear of consequences. By 18, he was untamed, a prince ruling a kingdom built on fear and money. But even the mightiest kingdoms crumble, and Emeka's reign was destined for a fall. Despite her sister's warnings, Nedi remained steadfast in her defense of Emeka. She believed that her love and wealth would always be enough to protect him. However, behind the golden gates of their mansion, shadows of scandal began to creep in. It started when Emeka's reckless behavior led to the pregnancy of Ifunanya, a promising university student from a humble background. Ifunanya had fallen for his charm, believing his sweet words and lavish gifts were signs of love. But when she revealed her pregnancy, Emeka laughed in her face. Desperate and ashamed, Ifunanya sought out Nedi, hoping the influential woman would convince her son to take responsibility. Instead, Nedi humiliated her, flinging money at her feet and ordering the guards to throw her out. "Get rid of it," Nedi commanded, sealing her fate with cold indifference. But Ifunanya refused to give up. With the support of her friend, she resolved to keep the baby, despite the uncertainty and fear that clouded her future. As months passed, more women came forward with similar stories of betrayal and pregnancies, yet Nedi dismissed them all, blaming the women and shielding Emeka from accountability. Unbeknownst to her, the whispers of scandal were growing louder, spreading beyond the mansion's gates. The seeds of ruin had been planted, and soon Nedi's golden world would come crashing down. Emeka's reckless lifestyle spiraled further out of control. Alcohol, parties, and gambling filled his nights while his days were spent nursing hangovers. But the breaking point came when his actions crossed into violence. One fateful night, Emeka preyed upon a vulnerable girl named Uli, leaving her traumatized and broken. When Uli reported the incident to the police, she had no idea that her father, Chief Oko, was one of the most powerful men in the country. The scandal exploded. Police officers swarmed the Okafor mansion, arresting Emeka for assault and Nedi for bribery when she attempted to pay off the authorities. News of the arrest spread like wildfire, turning the once revered Nedi into a pariah. In the interrogation room, Nedi came face to face with someone from her past, Uju, her former nanny, now a high-ranking police officer. With a cold, unwavering voice, Uju reminded Nedi of the years she spent protecting Emeka while turning a blind eye to his abuses. "You thought your wealth could silence us forever," Uju said, pulling out a recording of Nedi offering bribes. "But this time, there's no escape." For the first time, Nedi's walls of power and privilege began to crumble. She sat in stunned silence as the evidence mounted, realizing that the consequences she had shielded her son from had finally caught up with both of them. The courtroom was filled with murmurs as Nedi and Emeka stood trial. The evidence was overwhelming: audio recordings, testimonies from victims, and bank records exposing years of bribery and cover-ups. The once revered Okafor name became synonymous with disgrace. Nedi's fall from grace was swift. Investors pulled out, her business empire collapsed, and her mansion was seized. The woman who had once ruled over Port Harcourt now stood in shackles, reduced to a common criminal. Emeka's fate was sealed when the court sentenced him to 25 years in prison for rape, assault, and multiple offenses. Nedi received 10 years for obstruction of justice and bribery. As they were escorted out of the courtroom, the crowd jeered, their anger echoing through the halls. Months in prison stripped Nedi of her pride and power. She shared cramped cells with women whose stories mirrored those of her son's victims. Each day reminded her of the consequences of shielding Emeka from accountability. Emeka, too, faced harsh realities. The luxury he had once enjoyed was gone, replaced by cold concrete walls and prison uniforms. He learned the hard way that actions have consequences, lessons he had been shielded from all his life. Both mother and son were left to grapple with their downfall, but redemption, if it existed, seemed a distant dream. Years passed, and the world moved on, but Nedi and Emeka remained frozen in time, trapped by the weight of their past. Nedi's release from prison came after 10 long years. She was no longer the glamorous socialite, but a frail, broken woman whose wealth had vanished. She returned to Port Harcourt, where her name had become a cautionary tale. Stripped of her mansion and fortune, she sought refuge at her sister's modest home. Lamara welcomed her with compassion, though the scars of Nedi's arrogance lingered. Emeka, still serving his sentence, had transformed. Once feared and envied, he was now a shadow of himself, haunted by regrets and memories of lives he had destroyed. Letters from his mother carried stories of her struggles, but he remained distant, unsure how to reconcile his guilt. Nedi's days were spent reflecting on the past, how she had built her son into a monster and destroyed his future with her own hands. She visited Amaka in prison, and for the first time, they shed tears instead of anger. "Forgive me, my son," she wept, her voice trembling. "I thought I was protecting you, but I failed you." Amaka's response was broken yet sincere. "We both failed, Mama, but maybe we can learn to live with it." Hope flickered, but the road to redemption was long and uncertain. Thank you for watching and diving into this journey with us. Be sure to catch the next episode, and if this story moved you, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more captivating African tales. Don't forget to tap the notification bell to stay inspired and connected to the wisdom and heart of these stories. Until next time, stay blessed and keep shining.